Graduation is often celebrated as an ending, but for parents, it's actually the beginning of a new relationship. I'm Dr. Naomi, and this is From the Doctor's Chair, where clinical insight meets intentional living. There is something deeply emotional about watching your child graduate. Whether it's high school or college, that moment when the tassel turns represents years of investment, guidance, and growth. But what we don't always talk about is what happens after the celebration. Because once the applause fades, a new reality begins. Your child is stepping into adulthood, making decisions, navigating independence, trying to figure out who they are on their own terms. And as parents, we can find ourselves in a quiet tension. We are proud, we are hopeful, and yet we may also feel uncertain because the role we've carried for years, the one that involved guiding, correcting, and directing, is no longer needed in the same way. And if we're not intentional, we may try to step back into that role even when the moment is asking us to step forward differently. This is the shift from parenting a child to relating to an adult. And that shift requires something new from us. It requires restraint when we want to give immediate answers. It requires trust when we see them making choices we wouldn't make. It requires respect for their autonomy, even as they are still figuring things out. Because adulthood is not a destination they arrive at overnight. It is something they grow into through experience, through mistakes, through discovery. And our role? It doesn't disappear, it matures. We become a place they can return to, not for control, but for counsel. Not for direction, but for perspective. Not because they have to, but because they trust us enough to choose us. So during this graduation season, as you celebrate all that your child has accomplished, also prepare your heart for what comes next. Because the relationship is not ending, it is evolving into something deeper, more mutual, and in many ways, more meaningful. So if you are a parent navigating this transition into your child's adulthood, here are 3 things I want you to remember. First, graduation marks a transition, not a separation. Second, your role shifts from directing to advising. And third, connection is now built through trust, not control. If this perspective supported you today, I invite you to share it with another parent navigating this season. And subscribe to my channel so we can continue this conversation here each Monday from the doctor's chair.